Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new. In today's video, we're going to be doing kind of like a get ready with me, but specifically I'm focusing on this palette here. This is the Nomad Ghost Town USA palette, and I currently have this in my Shop My Stash. I am, however, starting up the series again where I use all of my eyeshadow palettes at least once. So this is going to be my time of using this one. And I really wanted to do a more colorful look with this because in the last video where I used it, I did something very neutral. So I think today we're going to use the blues and maybe some greens. We'll kind of see how it goes. But I'm also going to be trying a new foundation product in this video. So currently in my Shop My Stash is this Revlon Illuminance foundation. I've actually almost used up this entire bottle. I really like it. And I don't know if I was sleeping under a rock, but I did not know that they had it in a skin tint version. So I recently saw this online for anywhere from like $9 to $14, depending on where you were going to buy it at. And I actually went to Walmart today to get some groceries, and I thought, okay, if I find this and it's in a good shade that I'm hoping to get and it's under like $10, I'll get it. It was on clearance for $4. They didn't have the lightest shade, but I actually think the lightest shade is a warm tone, and the second shade looked a little bit more like what I would need. I don't know though, it looks pretty dark, but I thought for $4 it had already really piqued my interest. So it was kind of like a bonus that it was $4. So I'm gonna try it. But this is the Revlon Illuminance Serum Tint Broad Spectrum SPF 15 and it has ginger root, vitamin C, and vitamin E in it. I got the shade 201 Creamy Natural, so I am gonna be trying this. I currently don't have anything on my skin, but it's pretty dry. So we're gonna do the eye makeup first. And I'm just going to go ahead and put on some moisturizer so that it can like sink into the skin while the eye makeup is being applied. And then that way the foundation is just going over like a daytime moisturizer. I also just painted my nails, so they're like pretty much dry, but they're not all the way dry yet. So I'm going to have to get a little creative. Just being able to put this moisturizer on. I just don't really want to like dip my nail into the tub of this. This is the Neutrogena Hydro Boost. My grandmother really likes this moisturizer and she gave this to me, and she's really onto something because I like it pretty much just as much as my Plum Plump from Glow Recipe, and this is definitely a fraction of the price. So this is the one I use if I'm applying my moisturizer at my vanity, and then I keep the other one in my bathroom, so on days when I'm not wearing makeup or if I just like think about it when I'm in there, I'll use that. But it's really like lightweight, but I do feel like it gives you a lot of moisture, so I've been enjoying it. Okay, other than the new foundation product like the skin tint, I am going to use the products from my Shop My Stash. If you want to see what all products I have in that, I will have it linked below for you guys. I have already used all of the palettes from my Shop My Stash except for the two Nomad ones. So once I use these, they will kind of move out, and I'm going to pick 5 or so more and just keep cycling through all of my palettes. But today we will be checking one off of the list. If you guys don't know the series I'm talking about, I made a short form series where I use all of my eyeshadow palettes at least once. You guys have really enjoyed it, and I have too. It's a great way for me to use the palettes I kind of forget about. And this time around, I'm trying to create looks that aren't like my go-to with that one palette. So there's going to be some days where that's just the case. Also, there is a fly in this room and it's driving me nuts. So if you guys see that, I'm sorry, but it just flew by. But it helps me to use the palettes that I don't always use, and I'm really trying to make like different looks with them. There's going to be some days where I probably do create the same look as always, especially when I'm getting ready for work. But overall, I'm going to try not to do that every time. I'm also going to quickly just apply some lip balm. This is from EOS or EOS, whatever you say. It's the Strawberry Sorbet lip balm. Okay, I'm going to use an eyeshadow primer since I'm doing the eye makeup first. This is the About Face eyeshadow primer. And then because this palette doesn't have a matte shadow that's like pretty similar to my skin tone, I am just going to use my face powder. This is my go-to face powder. I literally use it just about every day. It's the CoverGirl Clean Fresh. And I'm just going to use this to kind of press down and like set the eyeshadow primer. I'm also using this because I want to use the green and blue shades, and they're not the lightest shades, and I have very fair skin, so I personally like to have a little bit more of like a muted colorful tone. And if I have it blend into my face powder, it makes it a little bit lighter. I typically don't like to put blue on the very center of my eyes unless I've like really canceled it out, but I'm keeping in mind that I'm going to be using a skin tint, so I want to make this like a wearable, colorful look. but it's still going to be colorful. But I think I'm just going to start out with the shade Ghost Town. This is the lightest matte green shade. I'm going to really tap the brush off and just apply this into the inner portion of the crease. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just do like kind of a green to blue like ombre to where it can kind of fade into that. So that way the green is on the inner portion. I actually really love this green shade I'm using right now. I feel like it's very nice with my green eyes. And I also feel like it would be a nice green shade with like hazel eyes or brown eyes. And, you know, sometimes I feel like using green shades with my green eyes, like they kind of clash, like they're different greens. But this one I feel like is very flattering for an eye color. So I am just making sure to tap my brush off and really take my time blending this out so that I don't use too much. This one's not quite as dark though, so it'd be okay. Okay, I'm getting a different fluffy crease brush and I'm gonna pick up Skinner's Saloon. This is the lightest blue shade. However, this one is like a pretty medium tone, especially in comparison to my fair skin. It's gonna look a little bit darker, I think. So again, I'm just really tapping off the brush. I'm gonna apply this on the outer portion of the lid. I like how this one has like a gray undertone to it, so it's definitely more wearable. I'm not currently planning to use a makeup wipe and make like a really sharp outer edge. I kind of want this to be a little bit more of like a blended look instead of like very like with sharp. I don't want it to have like very sharp lines. I think that's gonna lend itself better to like the skin tint. Typically when I use colorful shades, I kind of do like a more full coverage foundation. I almost didn't even use the skin tint in today's video because I didn't really want to mix them, but I feel like this is like a nice way to, you know, not feel like you have to do a full face of makeup per se. I'm still gonna do a full face of makeup, but like full coverage or anything. Okay, I'm just building up the green shade because it is lighter than the blue one and I want them to look like a similar intensity. This is kind of what I'm thinking, so I'm liking that. Okay, I'm taking a more like densely packed brush and I'm gonna pick up this one called Stagecoach Mary. This is a darker green shade and I am gonna pack this on the brush, but again, I am gonna tap this off because I don't want to have all the fallout over my face if I can help it. And I'm putting this on the outer portion of the lid, but not quite in the outer V, a little bit more inwards from that. And I'm just going to build this up here in this area. I'm not taking it past the crease though, I'm taking it like right into the crease. This actually isn't having a ton of fallout, so I'm not feeling the need to tap my brush too much. It just has like a little bit, I would say. I'm going to use the same brush and I'm actually going to go into this one called Dead Man's Hand. I'm going to skip Calamity Jane because this one's more of like a greenish blue, which could go nicely with the look, but what I'm wanting to do, I'm wanting to kind of keep the blue on the outermost portion and then have the green next to it. So it will almost create that shade on its own. So I'm putting this on the very outer portion of the lid into that outer V area. This is a really pretty shade. I remember the first times I wanted to use blue eyeshadows, they were always so patchy and just like awful, and they've definitely come such a long way. Like this to me just feels like such a high quality blue shadow. It is very nice, very smooth. Okay, I'm gonna pick up on that same brush we were using earlier, Skinner's Saloon, the lighter blue, and I'm just gonna try and blend that crease area with where I put the darker blue. I'm gonna do the same thing with the lighter green shade. Just kind of blending everything together again. Going back into the blue a little bit here. Sometimes my crease area gets a little bit patchy right here. I don't really think it's the shadows. It's probably a little bit of user error plus just the way that my skin is. Sometimes that area gets a little bit patchy, so I'm not mad about that. And I feel like once you have the rest of your makeup on and, you know, mascara and everything, it doesn't really look that bad. Okay, one more time I'm going to go into that lightest green shade, Ghost Town, and just build it up a little bit more. I really love that shade a lot. Okay, I am really happy with these matte shades so far, so I think I'm ready to move on to shimmers, and I honestly don't even know what shimmers I want to use yet. I will say, I wish that the green shimmer shades, I wish that one of them was a little bit more cool tone like this one, because they both look like they have yellow flecks in them, which to me reads more like lime green. The top one has a little bit more silver in it, but there's definitely still like yellow flecks, I wish they were just a little bit different from one another. These are not just like personally my favorite greens, but I do love this blue shade. So this one is Quicksilver, and I think that is just beautiful. I'm kind of wondering if I want to just put Quicksilver all over the lid and then figure out a way to like accent with a little bit of the green. So I think I'm going to try that. I think I'm going to put the blue down first and then we'll go from there. As always, I'm going to use my NYX glitter glue. Wherever I'm going to put shimmers, and tap it in with my fingers. So I'm just putting this over the lid, and I'm not being like too specific. There was definitely still some glitter on my fingers from that one, but that's okay. I'm gonna apply this with a brush first. I'm just kind of curious to see how it's gonna look. So I'm gonna just pick up with a flat shader brush Quicksilver, and I'm just gonna press this all over the lid. Usually Nomad shimmer shades can be applied with a brush. Sometimes you have to build them up in my experience, but it's not like a problem. But I do think I'm just gonna prefer to use my finger, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pick it up with my finger and tap it on that way. This is my preferred method for shimmer shades anyways. That is so pretty. I don't even know if I want to add the green, honestly. I love the green matte shade, but I don't know about the shimmers. Maybe I'll put the green shimmer on the lower lash line. Yeah, I think I'll actually just do that. That is gorgeous. I'm very happy that I put that all over the lid. I really like it next to the green too. I'm very happy with that. Again, I'm just gonna go back into the matte green shade. I want to make sure to not lose that green tone because I really like it, so I don't want to lose it. I want it to be very, very visible. So I'm just kind of blending that out everywhere. Okay, I'm very, very happy with how this is looking. Need to get some more makeup wipes. Not that anybody's asking, but I use these random makeup wipes from Aldi. They actually don't irritate my skin as much as like the Neutrogena ones. Those ones I find very irritating to my skin. Even though it says compare to Neutrogena, I don't know. These ones just don't bother my skin as much. I also don't use them every day. If these were a product I used every day, I would look more into like, you know, higher quality ones, I guess. But I don't use them very often. So I'm just going to wipe away a little bit of the glitter fallout. I'm not sharpening up the edge though, like I just want to leave that. I think I'm going to go ahead and do my eyebrows. And again, I'm just going to pull from my Shop My Stash products on this one. I'm already like so excited to see how this turns out because to me this is like a more wearable, colorful look. Like this is not like, I don't know, red on the lid. Red is like probably my least comfortable shade to wear. This is the Revlon Color Stay Brow Creator and it's in the shade Soft Brown. This is another product that my grandma gave me actually, and I also really like this one, so she's really onto something. If you guys want to see me do my grandma's makeup, I have a video from a couple years ago now where I did her makeup. I can link that below for you guys. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Kind of want to use this on the front part instead of my NYX marker. Oh, I meant to mention this when I first started using this palette, but I do want to just mention that I did not pay for this palette. I did receive this as part of their Starfish program. I mentioned this in depth in my last video if you guys want to hear more about it, but I just want to point that out because most of the palettes in my collection I have bought with my own money, but this one I did not. But I'm really, really enjoying it. Like it was on my radar and I almost bought it, and I kind of wish I had because I would have had it sooner, but I'm really glad I ended up with the chance to try it. I'm just so grateful for that. So yeah, I'm really loving this. This is like one of my favorite eyeshadow looks I've done in a really long time. I can't wait to see like the finished look. I don't know. I'm gonna do my face makeup, and if I need to go in with the NYX marker, then I will. But I really want to try this Revlon product. I'm just crossing my fingers that's not going to be too dark. So I'm just going to give it a shake. Again, this one's in the shade 201. Okay, I feel like that's going to work if it's truly light coverage. So I'm just going to dot a little bit on and I'll build it up as needed. Can't tell if that's the makeup wipe I'm smelling or the foundation, but it definitely smells interesting. It might be the makeup wipe though. Okay, I'm gonna blend it out with my brush first and then I'll go over it with a sponge. It's definitely a little bit dark, but again, with it being a skin tint, I think it might end up being okay. The shade range in this was awful, at least what they had in store. But again, I thought for $4, I would try it out, especially because I love the other foundation so much. No, actually this smells like very chemically. I don't think that that's the makeup wipe. I'm starting to wonder if this is expired. It says expires, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it says that it expires in October of 2026, or no, November of 2026. So I guess it just smells, I don't know, it smells like maybe like perfumey or something. Why is it so scented? Now I'm like wondering if my other Revlon foundation has a scent to it, but like, I mean, I've almost used that one up and I've never been bothered by it. Now I need to know. This one I have in the shade 113, but they don't even have a shade like this in the other range. This one smells like a little bit like fresh, I guess, but it doesn't smell like perfumey. It just smells like makeup, like no problem. That one's definitely a lot lighter too, so maybe there's a reason I didn't get this skin tint when I got the other one. Anyways, I'm feeling glad so far that I only spent $4 on this, because this might be like toast. It smells like very, very, very chemically. Okay, I think this might be a bust, unfortunately. I'm glad I didn't film a whole video on this foundation on its own, because that's actually like awful. But I love the eye makeup so much that I don't want to hate my face makeup. So I think I'm actually just going to top it with some of the Revlon foundation that I really love. Maybe they're like getting rid of this. Maybe that's why it was on clearance. I don't know. If you want to see a close-up, it doesn't look bad on the skin per se, but it's just like not quite there. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a little bit more using a sponge, and we'll see how it looks. But just based off of the smell alone, I probably like genuinely cannot use this, because I could just see this giving me a headache, and I'm just going to pray I don't get one today from it. I don't know, it looks really pretty on the skin. What the heck? But it does smell like fresh laundry, which I know a lot of people really like that smell, but that is one scent that does give me a headache quite often, unfortunately. Okay, I'm gonna say it's definitely too dark for me. Like, it's a shade too dark, but I don't think that the shade lighter than this would have been better, because I think the undertone of this one is actually pretty good for my skin. It's just too dark. Like, it's a shade too dark, but it doesn't seem too yellow. Ooh, all right. Yeah, like definitely cannot use that again. I'll have to give that to somebody. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this Revlon foundation that I do like. This is also the Illuminance one, but it's the Skin Caring Foundation, not the skin tint. And hopefully this will just lighten it up a little bit too. But honestly, I feel like you can kind of use this like a skin tint if you just apply a little bit. But I really, really love this foundation. And it definitely just smells like makeup. Like, it doesn't smell like it has a horrible fragrance in it. This one says medium coverage and natural finish, which I would agree with, unless you use a lighter hand on purpose. Once we add our other products, hopefully it'll be okay, but questionable on that. For concealer, I'm gonna use this one from NYX. This is the Bear With Me concealer. Oh no, I wanted to use my under eye brightener. Okay, I'm gonna like try to take off most of what I just put on the under eyes real quick. Especially when I use blues on the eyes, I do like to have a more bright under eye, whether that's from a full coverage concealer that's a little bit lighter, or what I'm about to show you. I got a little distracted on the foundation, but I did intend to use my under eye brightener, so I'm just going to layer it up. I find that these products are fine if you need a couple layers. I don't find them to be like creasy at all. This is the Lottie London under eye brightener, and I just apply it with my finger and tap it in real nice. But this for me cannot be like the top layer. I've got to top it with concealer because it's very, very like sticky and dewy. But can you guys see the difference? Like, I feel like there's a big difference just as far as like how glowy and like awake that makes my eye look. So I'll show you guys one side in comparison. So I just apply that, and then I go over and apply concealer. Typically I would not have put concealer underneath it as well, but that'll be okay. So I'm just gonna add the concealer on top of that. But I love that Lottie London under eye brightener. I don't know. I feel like there is just a really, really big difference without adding like a lot of cakiness. It's very dewy, but you just powder your under eye and then you're good to go. So I love it. I have mine in the shade Light, if you're wondering. I think there's only like 2 or 3 shades of this, which you don't really need like a lot of shades of this product, I don't think. I think 2 or 3 would honestly be plenty, because it doesn't have to be like skin tone specific or anything. I feel like that cancels out a lot of like the blueness in my under eyes since I have the blue on the eyes, so I'm happy with that. I can still smell that foundation. That's awful. I didn't expect it since it's like the same line, same brand and the same line and everything. That's really crazy. But I'm just gonna go ahead and powder my under eyes with the CoverGirl powder again, and we should be good to go. I'm also just gonna powder like the center of my face a little bit. Well, I feel like that kind of saved it, especially with the under eyes. I feel like it looks a lot better now. But whew, if you don't care about scents, honestly, like, it's pretty nice if you can find a good shade. I do think that one was a little too deep for me. So if your skin is my shade or even lighter, I don't know that you'll find one. Also, if your skin's a lot deeper, it seems like this is like for medium skin tones basically, so maybe that's why they're getting rid of it. I do really love this other one. I'm gonna use my Oma contour stick. Use a tiny bit on the forehead today. Mostly I just want to add a little bit of definition to the cheekbones. Okay, I'm gonna use the Milani highlight that's in my Shop My Stash. This is in Dulce Perla, and I'm just gonna add this. I think I might have to dip into a different blush than what's in my rotation, just so I can have something that matches a little bit better. And I think I'm going to use this one from MAC. This is in the shade Warm Soul, and I think it's called their, yeah, Mineralized Blush. I want a little bit of color in the cheeks, but nothing too crazy, because I really want the eye area to really be the focus. I actually don't mind my eyebrows now, even though they're a little bit more like natural looking. Okay, you might be able to see, but there's like a tiny bit of creasing on my under eyes. That is normal for me. I find that when I use a little bit of eyeshadow, that takes care of that and it doesn't crease throughout the day anymore. So I just use my face powder and then just a tiny bit of shadow, and that's what works for me. So I'm going in right now with that lightest green shade, and I am actually putting this all over the lower lash line. Again, I don't really love to have blue on the under eyes, so if I'm going to use blue, it's mostly going to be in the placement that I have it on right now, which is just the outer portion of the upper lid, or the lid if it's like a blue like this. But I don't like to have it in the crease area, and it's more so like I don't mind a blue shimmer shade as much as a blue matte shade, because I feel like that gives like, is your skin blue or is it eyeshadow? I don't know. And I'm just kind of blending this in with the blue on the outer portion. Now personally, I feel like I could probably leave it at that, but I do want to use the green shimmer shades. I have to decide which one. I'm leaning towards this one because it's a little less lime greeny, and I'm not really feeling the lime green. So I'm just gonna dip into it with a tiny brush. I'm gonna spray it with some setting spray. Can't believe I'm using this expensive setting spray on this. And I'm just going to run this just really on like the center of the lower lash line. Okay, actually I do feel like that added a little something to it. With it paired on top of the matte green, I don't think it reads like too lime greeny or anything, so I like that. And then while I have the setting spray out, I am just going to go ahead and set the whole makeup look, and then we'll add mascara. If I remember, I like to do this step before my mascara. I'm going to curl the lashes and add mascara. I actually have some individual lashes that I think would look really, really pretty, but I haven't used lashes like that in at least a year, so there's no way that my eyelash glue is not expired, and I'm not about to put that on my eyes. So just imagine how nice this would look with like a couple individual lashes on the outer corners. Like that would be amazing, but we will just build up the mascara instead. I'm going to use this Tower 28 mascara. I gotta say, this is actually giving my Iliad one a run for its money. Solely, well, not solely, it's good. It gives it a run for its money anyways, but especially because it is a little bit more like water resistant. Like it's not waterproof, but like if you have a good cry and you kind of tap under your eyes instead of rubbing them, there's a good chance that this is not gonna run. So I really appreciate that, because sometimes you just need to have a good cry. And I do have this blue. Do I put this light blue on the waterline? I really wish I had a green one, but I feel like it would really pull in the blue. I'm gonna do it. So I'm just gonna add this to the waterline. That is what this look needed. Okay, I'm just gonna pile up the mascara and then we'll be right back. I really wish I had somewhere to go right now. Full disclosure, it's like after 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, so I'm not going anywhere. Okay, I'm just kind of blotting off the lip balm because it's pretty balmy, so I don't know if my lipstick would really stick to my lips with that. I'm gonna use the Natasha Denona lip liner. I think this is in the shade My Dream, and I just want to keep the lips pretty neutral. When I wear colorful shadows, especially blues, aside from red, blue is like one of the more intimidating shades for me when creating an eye look. I like to keep everything else like very neutral. I don't even want to go like too warm of a neutral shade. Like I want to keep it as neutral as possible because I feel like it just looks a lot more like flattering and like I don't know how to describe it, but it looks more, to me it looks more like it just fits versus just like throwing color. Like I don't want to have like all these different shades going on. So for me, having the neutral shades is what does best. And pulling from my Shop My Stash, I showed you the lip liner, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in Dance Floor Princess. And this is a nice like neutral light lipstick. Okay, I'm 100% going to be recreating this look when I actually have somewhere to go. I really like how this has turned out, so I'm so happy about this. Okay, I do feel like my face is like very dewy, which I don't mind, but I think with this lighting especially, it's even more dewy. So I'm just gonna powder a little bit here under the eyes and on the cheeks, just so that it's a little bit less reflective. I'm very disappointed in the skin tint that it's so scented because I can still smell it, and you guys know I'm very sensitive to scents, so you might not care as much as me about that, but I really can't stand it. And I think it looks really pretty on the skin, especially in combination with the other one, so oh well, it is what it is. There are other pretty foundations that don't smell horrible, so. But this is the final look. I'm actually so excited with how this turned out, so I'm sad I can't use this one tomorrow as I am trying to cycle through all of my palettes again. If you want to see this series from me, be sure to check out my short form content both on YouTube. I also have it on Instagram, and I always have it linked down below if you prefer to watch those on Instagram. So I will be sharing this. It's actually going to be up before this video, so if you want to see this look in that short, it'll be there. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about this colorful look. Do you find it to be like a more like wearable colorful, or do you just go full on bold? Let me know what your preference is, but I am so happy with how it's turned out. So that's all I have to say. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.